Welcome to the Justified Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast for Justified on FX. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron, and whoa. Something, I don't know how I missed that in the setup, but something was awry. Something sat on the camera over here.
Thought I was Jim. Not so sure now.
Got to make the shelves touch. Oh, come on now. Touch wieners. Boom. There we go. Let's back to truck up.
Yep.
Back to full intro sequence.
Welcome to the Justified Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast for Justified on FX. I'm Jim.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're talking about Season 6, Episode 4, entitled The Trash and the Snake. Very entertaining episode this week, I thought.
I think it's the best in a long time. Probably, obviously some season 2 episodes are better. I feel like that there's some season 3 episodes are pretty entertaining. The season finale of season 4, but man, every time it just kept topping itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there were some season 2 references in this one, that's for sure.
You had the Jake Busey, you had Dickie, you had Loretta, you got the apple pie reference.
That's the thing, man. My notes are like the scene where Jake Busey explodes happened, and then I'm like, you cannot from here go into a Dickie Bennett scene. You can't do it. It's gonna overload me. I can't handle it.
And it just kept piling on, man. And especially when you realize the history between the families, the fact that, if you recall, the big friction between Loretta and Dickie and all the others is they thought they were going to get cut out of the family, future and legacy because they were all a bunch of dumbasses and their mom wanted to leave it to a smart, sassy lady.
Yep.
And the fact that Dickie unwittingly sold his inheritance to her, the very thing that he most wanted not to do.
Yeah.
Arguably the reason he's a big part of the reason why he got on the wrong side of Raylan and in jail and crippled, all those other things.
Yeah.
Because he's got this vendetta against Loretta. It's perfect. It's hilarious. I don't quite understand what he was trying to do in selling the property.
By selling that? Yeah.
Because Raylan mentioned, like, you're trying to start this feud that's been dead and buried. I don't understand what Raylan would care either way, him selling this to his family's property. I don't get it. But
yeah, I don't know either.
But regardless, the way it ended up was just great. And I couldn't believe they stuffed this much goodness in one episode.
Sure.
Kind of sets the bar pretty high for the rest. I mean, this is some finale type shit. This is some like final 3 episode stuff, and we're only in episode 4.
Yeah.
And did you see the preview for next week?
I didn't. No.
Oh my God. So, we might want to, since you haven't seen it, fuck it. We're not going to do spoiler section, but holy cow, next week looks bananas too.
Does it have another son of Gary Busey exploding? Because that was easily my favorite part of this episode.
Oh yeah.
I went, you what?
Yeah. And
I did not expect that.
Boyd and Duffy's reactions to it.
And as they're just covered in blood.
Plus Jake Busey, that character was fantastic.
Yeah.
I liked every bit of it.
I've liked him since I saw him in Starship Troopers.
Sure.
Many years ago.
I liked him since he was a gleam in Gary's eye.
Ooh, yuck.
Since he was a tadpole in his left nut. Let me drop some science on you.
Okay.
Do you know who directed this episode?
No.
Adam Arkin. Theo Tonin. The one and only.
Yep.
I don't think he needs any more introduction. You know who does need introductions? Chris Provenzano and Ingrid Escajada.
Okay.
I've never heard of either of those two guys, but this guy has 9. Chris has 9 writers credits to his name. Just for Justified, he's done 12 episodes. He also, like a lot of writers, serves as a story editor as well. He's written 2 episodes of Archer, 2 episodes of Mad Men, and
that's an eclectic mix of writing credits.
Yeah. He did the screenplay for Get Low, which I've heard of but not seen. And Ingrid is essentially a story editor, executive story editor on Justified. She's written 13 episodes and 5 episodes of Better Off Ted and 1 episode of Hannah Montana. but I'm not going to deduct any points for that
Sure.
because this was a hella good episode.
Yeah.
So that's the nuts and bolts. This is the of Open House.
Okay.
I thought since this was such an action-packed episode, but also very long scenes, there weren't a lot of scenes, and I thought it was pretty straightforward that maybe we just cover it chronologically instead of like by theme.
Okay. I mean, that's how my notes are set up naturally because, you know, I don't watch it out of
Sure.
order. So the first thing I noticed in this episode is Boyd staring at Ava again.
They're taking turns watching each other sleep.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Scores 2-1 in Boyd's favor right now.
It seems to me by the end of this, though, that he's not looking at her, not trusting her. He is looking at her, thinking kind of about their future together.
Yeah.
Especially after, you know, the events that transpired between these two episodes. He thinks fully that she's back on his side. And I'm
almost
not entirely sure she isn't.
I don't know, because to a foolhardy extent, I thought that Ava was acting sketchy as hell at the end of this episode, because she was.
Yep.
And Boyd had no idea any possible danger or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought that in this episode that she had probably switched allegiance to Boyd, and Raylan was regulated to maybe a lifeline that she ended up having to use. It's super interesting to see how this plays out next episode, because from Raylan's perspective, you know, Ava's scared. She's fearing for her life. The phone goes dead. He can't get a hold of her. I wonder if he just like do you roll marshals up on the hotel? If you do, that's a danger. I mean, because if you do that, then the jig is up.
Blows Ava's cover completely. Yeah.
And she's either going back. Yeah, if she's still alive, she's going back to jail. If you don't, you risk your CI's life, which I'm not sure what the the ethics are on that from a law enforcement's perspective. If you've got a criminal informant, that you put in a dangerous situation, and they give I forget what Raylan called it, the grenade text or the nuke bomb text or whatever he says, because he said you texted me blah blah blah. That's the Queen Mother of text signals. That means Armageddon's. I can't remember exactly what folksy expression he used.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I'm gonna be interested to see how that plays out.
What did you make of Ava and Raylan's conversation here with Ava asking him, what it feels like to have someone's fate in their hands, in his hands rather. She's obviously annoyed by her predicament and the pressure they're putting her under, but I felt like it was a bigger question to Raylan. Well,
also that thing about like, why are you, what exactly are you asking? Are you asking about why this isn't a room for the two of us? Why we're not drinking champagne? Like, they had an intimate relationship that I don't remember exactly all the ins and outs of why that ended. I know part of it was Raylan was still in love with Ava or Winona. Part of it was Ava started getting attracted to Boyd in early season 2, which that completely killed it for Raylan. Do you think she holds something of a torch for Raylan? And do you think Raylan holds a slight bit of a torch for her?
That might be true.
Really?
I think Ava's over him. Yeah. Yeah, I think Ava's been over him for a long time with Boyd and all that stuff. I got to say, Ava's hair is looking good now that she's working at the salon. She has gotten it upgraded for sure.
Hair, makeup, and dress.
Prison is hard on the hair.
Indeed.
And she's looking a lot better now that she's out and working at the salon.
That's what's amazing in Orange is the New Black. Not that this is the only thing that matters, but when you see these ladies like at gala events, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Some of them, like the Pennsatucky character, just are made up to look like 10 miles of bad road, but and so that's not surprise. But even Taylor Schilling, it makes me wonder.
I'm sure they purposely just try to make them look disheveled and bad.
But I'm just saying, like, with hair and makeup makes them look that much better. Like, why did us dudes never start wearing makeup? Like, dudes do wear makeup on television. Timothy Oliphant wears makeup on Justified. Every news anchor,
95% of dudes on TV.
Everybody's showing up to do an interview. They all make cut. You know why? Because you look better.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I'm not saying I want to wear makeup. Maybe a little lipstick.
Aaron is wearing makeup
Maybe
right
a little,
now.
maybe a little rouge.
You can't tell because it's good makeup, but trust
Plus,
me,
it's
he's
under.
wearing it.
It's a bitch to apply with his beard. But I've always wondered, like, you know, why does it only matter for women to look good?
I'm sure it's seated somewhere in the roles of men and women in society.
Sure.
As it moves through the ages. I don't know the answer though, and I'm not going to speculate on that because I'll get in trouble. That is where you get in trouble. Speculating on shit you know nothing about.
Just ask questions. That's the safe way.
Yes,
Can't
and imply answers.
No one
give
can
answers.
No one can get mad at you just asking questions.
Sure.
But no, between that and her saying, "Don't say that you and me don't have a special relationship," and him saying, "I never said that," something there.
Yeah,
they're both each other's
right.
plan Bs. Maybe that's
okay.
That's it.
If this law enforcement thing doesn't work out, he's going with Ava.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think Ava.
If this daughter in Florida thing doesn't work out.
No, that's like, I wonder, like, is Ava really an outlaw at heart, or is she just a Harlan girl at heart and she doesn't really care? She's going to do her thing, and you know, if her man's a gangster, that's fine. If her man's a lawman, that's fine. Where Raylan, clearly he has, although that's the interesting about Raylan too, because he's a lawman and he wears a badge, but he does a lot of things that are not beyond his police powers. That shit he pulled,
certainly, yeah,
with the Tonans at the airport a couple years back.
Very first
what
episode,
he did with poor
very first scene of the very first episode. I mean, he's shooting guys. He's constantly getting in trouble for that. And like, that's been the crux of his character the entire time. That he's a lawman who kind of bends the law and often breaks the law in favor of putting bad guys away. And I think it's also awesome the conversation he has with Art this episode about the trash and the snake.
Yes,
that is an excellent parable that applies so well to Raylan. He's going around looking to put down all the criminals. And Art's like, look, you can't. Yeah, you can't. It's just not going to happen. Every time you cut off one head, 3 more grow back.
Right.
I thought that was a really awesome scene. Later on in the episode.
Yeah, which makes you think, like, if Art feels that way, then why catch any of them?
Well, you can still do what you can do, right?
Yeah.
And that's Raylan's argument, sure.
I felt like Art was doing the bunk. You're trying to give a fuck when it's not your turn to give a fuck. Like, you are assigned your fucks to be given to the Boyd case.
Yeah.
You need to keep them there.
You only have so many to give.
Yeah,
so just do what I tell you.
The upshot of Boyd getting called away by Duffy in the first scene is that Ava's got the day free. Except for Catherine. Hale shows up and says, "You're going to have lunch with me," and is super scary
because she picks up on the cigarettes. Like, Ava says, "Oh, I was outside having a cigarette."
Even before then, like, their whole interaction was very, I am an alpha female and I don't trust you, and I'm going to be looking underneath your fingernails.
Yeah, I guarantee you this is the hard woman that Avery was talking about last episode.
Sure.
This is one of them, Catherine Hale.
Yeah, which we know. I liked how Ava described Markham as a smelling of sulfur. Like, he's literally
the devil.
The devil. He could definitely play a devil.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
sure, he's got the Al Pacino-esque devil vibe going on.
Right. We talked about Art a little bit. Which, again, I thought that's a great scene between them, and you know how Art is getting cantankerous. His wife is feeling sorry for him, not letting him eat anything, so he kicked her out, and he's like making eggs and pancakes and
that's so Art.
Yeah, all that stuff. And he had to talk. We were talking about the snakes on the way to trash. Do we need to talk anything more about this scene? Raylan's there to get information on Markham, and this is essentially backstory for stuff that we've suspected.
Well, I mean, we had somebody write in and tell us as much on this, so we kind of knew this already, but I feel like for people watching this is brand new information. Yeah,
and like I said, when Graham Yost is doing his postmortems, as they call them, I thought he was giving some big spoilers away, because he's basically talking about Markham was in the legal weed business, and he's got down here in Kentucky buying up properties, and like, he was talking about that weeks ago, and I'm like, man, that's a massive spoiler. turns out all this gets out on the table by the 4th episode. So I'm starting to think that maybe he didn't really consider that big of a spoiler. This isn't the DB Cooper type mystery that we've seen before.
There might be more twists coming.
There's
bigger twists.
Yeah, because right now, again, we understand everyone's kind of motivations, with the exception of Ava. And honestly, Ty Walker is a wild card too. I don't understand why he's working for Markham, why Markham tapped him to work for him.
Could be as simple as money. I mean, maybe these are his guys, and now when this business pays off, he's going to get paid. There's
something deeper, man. I would not be surprised if we find out Ty Walker is like his bastard. It's his Jon Snow.
All right.
You don't think you don't get a whiff of that? Like he is so deferential to this guy. Lets him drink his drinks.
He is, but I mean, you're kind of deferential to your boss, right? Like that's just how that power structure works.
I don't know. Usually criminals are more portrayed. There's not that much respect between a criminal and an underling. There's sure respect, but there's not like this just whatever you say, sir. Here, have my alcohol. Would you like to try my girlfriend on for size? Like
unless you're Dewey Crow and your brother comes in from Florida. then you do whatever he says. Yeah. So I mean, the important thing here is obviously like the business stuff, and also that Avery might actually be a snitch who killed his partner or who killed the guy who was his contact in the police force, and then disappeared. Nobody ever saw him again.
Right. But his testimony landed Grady. Grady Hale went to prison. Now, there's also this you speculate why.
Well, his I mean, it might be his testimony that landed Grady in jail. Maybe. Nobody knows whose testimony that was.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the snitches, but they don't know who the snitch is. They think it's Avery.
Well, everyone thinks it's Avery in this episode that has any kind of position to know, including Catherine. And what's interesting about her side of the story is that she was basically poking Avery just for fun, but she truly loved her husband, and she's mad at him for snitching him out. And I wonder if this is going to be Markham's downfall, that he wanted her kind of to himself and didn't know that she didn't feel that same way, and thought that he was doing something to be sly and maneuver things the way they both wanted it. And now he's going to have to deal with the woman's fury here.
Crazy theory. What if Catherine Hale was a snitch?
What if Catherine Hale is Ty Walker's mother?
That's a crazier theory.
You know what? That's actually really good. That's actually really good because Catherine would
setting us up as Avery being that guy. What if he's not, and the guy is a girl?
Because she also has a motivation for hating Grady. The fact that she was the brains behind the operation, or so she claims, but she never got any of the credit.
And how about this?
So she's killing them both, so she can just be the queen pin of the whole damn thing.
Yeah, she's complaining about how she doesn't get respect anymore from the jeweler. She used to run this town, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Dickie is saying how like the guy behind the guy is a woman. We know that's obviously Loretta, but in the end, that could also apply to Catherine Hale.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw it out there. Official prediction:
Catherine
Catherine Hale is the snitch who killed the law enforcement dude.
That's
and ratted out her husband.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay,
you definitely win the prediction war. So far, we still have a lot of episodes to go.
Still plenty of episodes. Yeah.
This brings us to Tim and Raylan visiting Calhoun.
Oh man, this is such a good scene.
And he essentially deciphers the book under very light threat from Raylan and Tim. I'm not even sure what the threat there is. I do believe that this is a strong candidate for line of the week. Occam's razors, Thor's hammer. Who gives a shit?
Yep, I've got that one written down.
I like that a lot.
Apparently, Harland is the land of the Christmas tree weed.
I don't know what that means.
Big, bushy, tall plants. I don't know.
Oh, so it's a description of the quantity of trees.
How well they grow there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. They thrive off of coal dust and slurry ponds, right?
And yeah, plenty of it.
Anyway, this whole thing is kind of, well, I don't think we're to the legal weed part of it yet. No. But they're buying a whole bunch of property. We found out the fires are way up in Harlan County. and the one couple that we met that called Ty Walker Peacock, it died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, the Hutchins is their name.
And they also just happen to have because there's this ledger where if it's circled, they've made an offer. If it's circled the line through, they've made 2 offers and accepted it. And if it's circled and X'd out, then apparently that's dead because, that's what we're taking. That's the Hutchins. Anything else to say about that scene?
Nope.
Moving on to Catherine Hale talking to Ava about how she was a cheerleader and that cheerleaders never know how much power they have and they don't know how to use it. And she also asked a lot of probing questions about her past, like how did it feel when she killed her ex-husband?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess he is X. She made him an X.
Uh-huh.
She circled him and X'd him out. And also at the very end, when I saw this on the upcoming preview last week, I thought there was going to be a head under there.
Yeah,
or something
totally,
crazy.
or a hand, or.
But I wasn't sure who it could be because it's too early to be Maimon Boyd, although that
Yeah.
would have been shocking. And I don't know that she has a real strong connection to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Raylan would be the other choice, but there's no way in hell he's going to get maimed at this point in the season. But it turns out it's just a couple rails of coke.
Yeah, so what is her deal here? Why is she getting Ava coked up and taking her to steal jewelry?
Don't know. I don't know. This is ultimately all part of her taking a measure of this woman.
Certainly. I feel like it's also a setup for something, though. Like she's setting Ava up for some kind of fall here.
It could be, or it could be that she's just, you want to get her comfortable. You want to get her out of her element. You want to get her kind of tongue loosened up and get her jacked on adrenaline and coke and see if she, and then once she's very comfortable, you hit her with something that, you're trying. It's like police interrogations. You always think like, how in the hell do people ever spill their guts? Well, there's a whole technique. Mm-hmm. You get them comfortable and you kind of understand what their reactions are when they're stressed or not stressed. And you ask them like a true or false question. And then you see if their eyes bug out, if they start sweating or they start stammering. And that discomfort is what lets you notice something wrong. I kind of feel like she was rope-a-doping her.
But to what end? I get that that's what she's doing.
I think she wants, if she thinks Ava's a rat,
Ava?
If she knows Ava is a rat or a potential rat, then it behooves them all to flush her out. And I think it's super interesting.
That's true, but it feels throughout the entire episode that she does know that. Like, clearly Ava was lying with the cigarette break.
But she had to know, but that could be anything.
It could be.
And I think she had to know for sure, and she went through this whole day to very thoroughly find out.
And by the end, she knows.
And I don't know what she does with that information.
Okay.
Because, Boyd obviously is in the throes of Ava lust. He's not going to believe anything just right off the bat anyway. She has no real evidence. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next episode or two we don't see whoever that guard is strung up with her hand twisting his nuts, making him confess to, Raylan leaning on him to get the deal to let Ava go.
Yeah, could be.
And if they do that in front of Boyd, then what?
Yeah, then Boyd has to make a decision.
Because that's the thing. Like, she can't go to Boyd and be like, she's going to kill me because I'm a snitch.
No, definitely. No, she can't tell anybody. She's stuck in the middle of this entire group.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's a way and a time and a place which she could go to Boyd and say, look, Boyd, I'm in trouble. I'm only out of jail because I'm supposed to be helping them build a case against you. I'm giving them bad information. I've been trying to find a time for us to be able to break out of here. But
that time is when he gets a whole bunch of money and they can run out of there.
I kind of think the time is like now. Like, she has to, it feels like, of course, that's the brilliant thing about this show is just when you think that they're painted into a corner, someone gets a bright idea to pole vault out the front door and then you never saw it coming. So to me, it feels like she has to choose whether she's going to be for herself and just skate, whether she's going to help out Raylan or whether she's going to help out Boyd in the next episode or two, because now Catherine knows. And it's just a matter of time of tracking down this guard, which she says she could do at any time. And I believe her.
Yeah.
And getting him to confess and doing it in front of Boyd and Duffy. And then it's too late for Ava to make that play. And that could happen. Like if it doesn't happen in a few episodes, it's going to be like, why?
Yeah. Why would you sit on that info when your operation's at risk? Sure.
Sure.
Okay. What do you think about Jake Busey?
I think Jake Busey is awesome. He's a chip off the old block. He's a chip off the old tooth.
He's drinking. What is he drinking there?
Negronis? Yeah.
Negronis. Yeah. It's
an Italian drink that tastes like grapefruit.
Grapefruit drink. Sure.
If I was Boyd, I would pass too. But I also like the fact that this makes, because we were wondering, like, why are they guarding money?
Mm-hmm.
And, why are they got these safety deposit boxes? Why do they need an old safe? All this stuff. This makes perfect sense because this is a real life problem that you have in the legal weed business. JP Morgan. Well, JP Morgan Chase does not want your money. Citibank does not want your money. You have to figure out your own way to provide security for your warehouses and your cash and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that you'd have mercenaries and a large banks sitting on your weed money.
Yeah, I mean, even more so in states where it's not legal yet.
Sure,
like Kentucky.
Right.
Before we move on from this scene, I don't know. I'll cut that out. Never mind.
Okay. There's not much to talk here except for why they're storing the money in the bin and the money bin, if you will, and also how hard it is going to be to crack this safe and why they needed Gary Busey's kid to do it because he's the one that's got the C11, which I'm not even sure if that's a thing.
I don't know if that's a thing, but it doesn't seem like he is very skilled when we first meet him.
Really?
He seems crazy. He seems weird. He seems like, he certainly seems like he might know what he's talking about, but there's no evidence of that around him, right?
See, I thought that's a trope of the eccentric, brilliant specialist.
It totally is a trope.
Like they always have, like there's always something about them, right? This guy happens to date women wearing Daisy Dukes bikini tops and snakes, and he drinks Negronis, and he's got a very lackadaisical attitude towards high explosives.
That's the thing. I think the trope here is the guy who doesn't look like he would know anything. But actually does. And he all but says that in the episode.
Sure.
So,
and I think that Boyd thinks all this and he's losing patience with his bullshit. And the guy says, hey, this is how you know he's an expert. I've actually got this exact model safe set up in some place where we can bang it. And I can show you that I can open it before, you can try before you buy. It's a safe cracking demo. Yeah. What's better than that, right? But first,
when the guy providing the demo explodes, that's better.
But first, he confiscates all the guy's cell phones.
Yeah.
Which I thought, what the hell is he going to? What is there like a safe cracking app that he's going to install on their phones? What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I have a scene about Catherine Hale and Ava going jewelry shopping.
Yep.
And it's essentially a scam where Ava distracts the gentleman. And Catherine switches the tennis bracelet out for a fake. And somehow they leave while Skylar's crying in the back room about a tiara. And this leads into a conversation about how bitter she was at how far she's fallen since Grady has been busted. Because she used to have these lines of credits, all these jewelry store. This guy used to meet her at the front door with champagne. And now he's just buzzing her out.
Yeah.
And Ava says, are you not afraid he has cameras ever? And she's very breezy about, he's not going to do anything because he probably is afraid that I still got the juice to have him killed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she still has the juice to have him killed?
Sure. I think she goes to Avery. That might happen.
Do you think that this is going to be something that busts Ava?
I'm a little worried about that because the entire time they were doing it, I was thinking the same thing as Ava. What about the cameras? What about, there is evidence here.
But they'd have to know it was stolen first.
Sure.
The other thing is, if Catherine thinks that she is a criminal informant, then I don't think calling the cops on her would do anything because the cops maybe they throw her back in jail because she didn't fulfill the terms, but it's not like she's in trouble for doing something in the line of duty, I don't think.
So were you saying that she's going to purposely get busted for that?
No, I was saying that I don't.
And when Ava doesn't get arrested for it, she's going to know?
No. I was just saying that I don't think this was anything other than her, being Dixie Southern outlaw Rebel Outlaw.
Okay, I think you're right.
I don't think this is
Yeah.
going to come back. This isn't going to be like the videotape out in the desert in Breaking Bad. This is this. I mean, well, yeah, it could be exactly
It
like
will be
that.
exactly that, yeah.
Nothing comes of it.
Uh-huh.
What else? This is now Raylan and Tim going out to the Hutchins house, which was his old English teacher. Turned out she's a terrible English teacher. Almost put Raylan off of books.
I hated her. She hated English. Almost turned me off of books.
Yeah.
That is a pretty bad teacher.
Another candidate for line of the week, where Tim says about how he wants to go out, and because they're talking about this old couple that smothered to death in their bed. He's like, "It's a sweet story. That's how I want to go." He goes, "Oh, just kidding. I want Sigourney Weaver to choke me out with her thighs."
It's great. Tim is awesome.
Tim is all about the MILFs.
Is he?
All about the gilfs, really. It's Sigourney Weaver's
Sigourney Weaver, yeah.
60 now.
Sure, but Sigourney Weaver's a attractive woman.
Yeah,
Especially back in her heyday, man.
I'm telling you what. I wore out that section of my copy Alien where she's slithered into the spacesuit. World class ass. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
But
let's find out. Raylan's pretty cool with weed. Raylan's not about to bust people.
I wrote that down. Raylan is kind of, he's like, weed legalized in Kentucky. Yeah. And you know what? That's been a consistent theme in this whole show. Marshals roll up and you're snorting coke, or you're, smoking meth, or you're shooting heroin, or you're smoking dope. They don't care. If you have an outstanding warrant or you're doing something like that, then yeah, they're going to haul you in, but they don't really care about the drugs.
No, I mean, definitely Raylan himself, he doesn't care, but I think also it's not really that's not the marshal's job. So to enforce those kind of just small time laws. They're out hunting fugitives,
right?
Hunting criminals. I don't think they're going to bust these low level guys.
Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me if the whole cast is pretty much, high times.
You can't tell me that Timothy Olyphant has never smoked.
I'm just saying there's some trailers that are pretty foggy between Jerry Davis and his surfing and Timothy Olyphant. And now you got Sam Elliott, which I assume is like the kind of, Willie Nelson type hippie. Nick Cersei, is that his name?
Who is he?
He's pretty arch Republican. I could see him.
Tim?
No, that's Art.
That's Art. Okay.
I could see him kind of like stink eye and everybody as the fog rolling out of their trailers, but he might be the only one. He might be the only one that doesn't get down.
All right.
But Tim, you know what he is? He's an ace investigator because he's cracked the code. He's found the plastic that used to cover the windows that was concentrated into carbon monoxide, and that's how. So you were wrong about the whole plastic. You thought this was going to be some kind of wet works job.
I did, yeah, but I was right that they were killing them.
Indeed, you were wrong about being right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jerry Burns and his surfing ways, they worked that explicitly into Win Duffy.
I got to think that is a conscious decision on the writer's part and his part to be like, I surf a lot. I'd love to mention it on the show.
Yeah, I feel like that this is a pretty loose team of writers. They let actors do all kinds of stuff. Like Dewey Crow. You want to come up with the turtle dog backstory? Sure, we'll work that into the plot.
You got a good idea, we'll listen, and if we like it, we'll use it. $1 million does afford a man a lot of sex wax.
It does. I also like Boyd just casually correcting him. He's like, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "Learn to speak Farsi and hide out in Tunis." He's like, first of all, they speak Arabic in Tunisia.
Yep.
And right about then, the Wiz announces that he has it covered. And he has the entire room covered in red because it turns out he forgot to get his own cell phone and blew his ass up. And my first reaction was my jaw dropped, and then I couldn't stop giggling at Win Duffy and Boyd's reaction.
Just standing there in silence.
Because Win is just like keeps his eyes will just stay closed, and Boyd like is just really. I wonder how many takes they did of that.
I don't know, man, but that had to be a great day on set.
That's a huge reset every single time.
Oh yeah, you got to hose them down.
That's a 30-minute process. You got to go, and then they got to go through makeup and hair, especially Boyd's hair.
Yeah,
that's like a 30-minute job to get all that. It's either that or he just sticks his finger in an electric socket.
Duffy's hair is no joke either. He's got the wave going on.
And what about the eyebrows?
Yeah,
you think they like curled his eyebrows?
I think he does that. Like I don't know what he's doing there, but he's got the thing where he can lift the sides of his eyes and not the middle.
Yeah. But he also he's got the great
he's
horned
constantly
owl.
like that.
He's got like a
Yes.
curly Q in his eyebrows.
Uh-huh.
He's like halfway to being a wizard. We got another. Just when you couldn't think the episode could get any better, we roll into jail and find Dickie Bennett in a wheelchair.
To what do I owe these particular splinters in my asshole today?
And I love the fact that Raylan makes admittedly a rape joke in poor taste.
Sure.
And then Dickie calls him on it, and then Raylan's like, "Well, what can I say? I see you, and I kind of feel pity for you. Then I want to make fun of your wheelchair. I got conflicted impulses. Like I kind of want to punch below the belt when I'm dealing with a cockroach like you."
Yeah, I can see why. I mean, Dickie Bennett, man, I am delighted every time he's on screen. I know he's overacting. My God, he's overacting, but I don't care.
This is the same dude that played in Lost, like this really
crazy scientist,
cerebral guy, and here he's this. I don't know what you call the performance because it gets more and more extreme.
It does
every single time. It's like he watches all the tape from before, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take it even further.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make the pauses weirder. I'm gonna make the hand gestures more random. I'm gonna make my face crazier. It's hilarious. And what's funny is my girlfriend watched last season with me, but she's not seen the heyday. She's not seen season 2 and 3.
No, oh, that's Dickie at his best.
But she was laughing out, not knowing anything about it. She was laughing out loud just at him being him.
Yeah, it's great.
What's this guy's name? Jeremy Davies?
Jeremy Davies. He is in Lost. He is a very similar acting character, but it's toned way down. But you can see he does the same affectations and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he plays this kind of slightly unhinged smart guy really well. And here he's playing a very unhinged dumb guy.
Well, that's the thing. Like Dickie is
he's pretty smart.
Dickie's clever and cunning, but no, he is not smart.
He's pretty perceptive, I think. He understands what Raylan is trying to do to him. And yet he plays along with it. He gives him what he wants.
He is a schemer. Like he has fairly good schemes. What he doesn't understand is his lack of ability.
Okay. Yes.
Like definitely. I remember there's a couple times where if he had been more astute judge of who he chose to be in his crew, and if he had done, been a little bit more aware of what he could and could not do vis-a-vis being a leader, he could go pretty far.
Yeah.
But he's not, and now he's in a wheelchair and locked up.
Sure.
Tim continues to be on fire, saying, "Do you lovers want a conjugal visit?" And then Dickie says, "I'm looking for a revelation," which Raylan plays along with and becomes the Archangel Raylan Givens, who's going to give him a fully loaded commissary tray. And then Dickie says,
he calls him numbnuts in the middle of it
because he's like, "I can't do it." He's like, "Search your soul, numbnuts."
Yeah,
which is another strong candidate for line of the week.
The dialogue in this show, top to bottom, has always been spectacular.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're really digging deep in this final season and just coming up with some great ones.
Yeah, they're like, how can we make this dialogue the best? Turns out he's got diabetes. Do you really think he has diabetes, or is he just shining?
I believe he has diabetes. I don't know that it's going to be a big issue for him.
Too much RC Cola and moon pies.
Yeah.
It's just, the old pancreas can't keep up. And then we find out that he sold his property. And then this is what I don't understand. I don't understand how this scheme in any way affects Raylan. But Raylan at the end says, so let me get this straight. You wanted to resume a feud that's long since ended. And to do that, you sold your property to Loretta McCready, which then makes Dickie lose his mind.
When did he sell this property? I was under the impression he sold it a long time ago.
No, recently. Recently, I think. But again,
I don't know why.
I think he did it to start some shit with Raylan, but maybe the fact that Raylan, if he sold it from prison, that would draw Raylan's attention to come over and talk to him. But that's kind of reaching. If you understand what the hell I get the whole L&M consolidated and how Loretta just, outwitted Dickie.
Yep.
I get that. I don't understand how this had any connection with his and Raylan's feud.
Yeah.
So I might have been asleep at the switch some point or not remembering something from season 4 because he wasn't in 5.
No, I mean, obviously we know the thing that brings them to the prison, right? I mean, it did catch the eye of Raylan because he's investigating these
He's investigating all these
now.
property sellings. Yeah.
He saw who it sold to or
Yeah.
who sold it, and he went over to talk to Dickie.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know why Dickie would sell it necessarily.
But he did, and then he finds out it's Loretta, and of course, he was trying to kill Loretta the last time we saw him. That's why he's in the wheelchair.
Yep.
And he just sold his ancestral lands to one Loretta McCready, which we get to see in the next scene. Which again, this episode continues to get better.
And they really hammer home the point that the Bennetts are gone. The Bennetts are gone from Harlan.
And kind of, there's not very many Crowders left. There's just the one Crowder. Well, I guess Ava's a
no,
Crowder
but they
as well.
specifically the Bennetts. They say the Bennetts have been around like
6 generations.
Avery says in the next scene, they've been around Harlan forever.
Yeah,
and now they're gone. Raylan took them out.
Yes, he did.
The entire bloodline is just devastated.
So we got Ty Walker trying to talk Loretta into selling her land.
Okay,
which she's not having any because she's got plans, which we'll find out. I love she goes to pour him a glass of apple pie.
Awesome.
Which I was like sat forward on my couch. I'm like,
yep.
Oh, it's like, so how does this play out? She murders this dude. I guess because I talked in a preview how I'm not a huge Loretta fan. I was in season 2. I kind of liked in season, but I felt like every time they keep bringing her back because she's so popular, and not every time's worth it. I also think that I thought Loretta was going to be more of a Raylan type character, that she's more ethical and moral, and she was going to reject her kind of heritage. It seems like she's hell-bent on being a next generation Catherine Hale. Yeah, and now I think I'm cool with that.
Okay. I mean, I've always been cool with Loretta. I haven't had any problems with her character.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for as much grief that Raylan, as many bodies got put in the ground on her behalf, it kind of like, it'd be cool if she became more of a Karen Cisco type than a Catherine Hale type. But now that I've got my expectations rearranged, a Robin Hood-esque legal weed grower seems like a pretty good a gig for her.
Sure.
I love how she treats Raylan though. It's like, she opens the door, it's him. She's like, oh shit, what the hell?
Yeah, she's always had that relationship with Raylan.
That's 90% of Raylan's reactions. Open the door.
Yeah.
Oh Christ, it's Raylan.
Sure. So Loretta's plan here is fairly obvious, right? She takes out Avery, who is trying to move in on the business in Harlan because
she wasn't. She didn't poison the glass.
No, she didn't.
Unless she's been doing
but
the
that's
whole...
that's what we're meant to think, right? Like,
certainly
she's going to take out Avery and she's going to be the weed queen in Harlan.
Right. No.
Which, I can see that.
Sure.
Loretta's tough.
It wouldn't surprise me if she tried to have those, did the Mason glass with all those guys.
And then it was sitting on the table for a while. And I was like, okay, who's going to pick this up? What are we going to see? Who's going to die from this?
Sure. There's a lot of teasing of danger because in this very scene, when Raylan comes up, Ty Walker's like, you can't tell me, like, I'm trying to treat with this young woman. And Raylan's like, could you just take a big step to the right? And then Ty pulls back and shows his gun. I'm like, oh my God, are we going to see one of the big bads draw down on Raylan this early? But no, he's reaching for his cell phone.
Yep. They continue that threat.
Yeah.
Without paying it off. I'm telling you.
No, there's going to be some epic gunplay in this season. Come on, it's Justified.
It's the final season of Justified.
Its bodies are going to drop.
Yep.
But he calls Mr. Markham instead, who comes promptly and asks Loretta to lick her pinky and stick it in their mason jar to make sure it's not going to kill her.
Now, how did he find out about apple pie?
He knows he said he knows the Bennetts because they were in the same line of work. And he goes, that's how I knew about the apple pie.
So is that something that Mags, I guess, would have told him about?
Oh, I
is that
feel
a
like
tradition with the Bennetts?
I feel like not the number of people been killed by apple pie is not just 2.
Okay.
This is something that gets, if you're sufficiently high up in the southern underworld, you've heard about the Bennett apple pie.
Okay.
What I think would be super funny is if Loretta's been doing the Princess Bride. I've been working for years to develop an immunity to.
I was wondering if that's where they
powder
were going,
type thing, and you know what? I'm not ruling it out. I'm not ruling it out for her to come back later in the season and for one or more of these people to be dusted off by.
So you think they're teasing the non-poisonous apple pie?
Because I think if you
setting us up,
if you built up a tolerance and it's just your pinky,
yeah,
I could totally buy that. And her just dead eye and telling Raylan, yeah, I've been working on.
Oh yeah,
I've been studying the biochemistry and I've been working up. Or maybe she's got an epinephrine pin or an adrenaline pin or whatever the hell is the magic pin that they shoot in people's hearts that can save you from face melting nerve gas in The Rock.
Save you from the Ark of the Covenant being opened or something. I don't know.
Right. God's got nothing on adrenaline. You got a syringe full of that shit, and he's like, "Well, fuck. I can park the Red Sea, but I can't do anything to you for that." Never heard of the Givens. Another line of the week is like, well, wannabe Kingpin or Arlo's wannabe Kingpin's ass would be heartbroken to hear you say that. I thought that was pretty good. Epic thread about the Bennetts. They're all gone. He's like, well, the Bennetts are my problem now. You're my problem. And Avery comes back with, "You going to give me 24 hours to get out of town?" Which Tim Riley observes, "You really have done your homework." And then he lights up a doobie and skates out.
Yeah. Once again, Raylan doesn't give a shit about that.
No fucks about weed. Did you notice that he hails from Cynthiana?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Hometown of Robert Kirkman. Did you think that was a sly tip of the cap to the other basic cable juggernaut? Not that, Justified is anywhere near.
I don't know. Probably not. It's probably just a city that people have heard of around the area. I don't know. That isn't like Lexington or Louisville.
It's like more. It's literally like the town we came from. It's I think.
Yeah, it's small.
It's a small town. I just thought it was interesting. I don't know. Moving on to Catherine Hale wrapping up her days of adventure with Ava. She tells a joke about Hillary Clinton having a joke at Bill's expense, essentially her being the power behind the throne. And she talks about how when a man kills your husband, you got to do something about it. She talks about Avery being a rat, and then she immediately dismisses Ava. But before she does, she makes a connection between her being a rat and how fortunate, or not, from Markham being a rat, and how fortunate it was that the guard came clean with Ava.
Yes. Very obviously saying to Ava, "Hey, I know about this. I know what you're up to.
I know you're a rat." Yeah.
Also, Sam Elliott, best lover she's ever had.
Sure.
So,
I believe that.
Man's got some skills, apparently. Sam Elliott and or Avery Markham.
Can't get the free mustache rides anymore, though.
No, he can't.
No. It's just all bare lip now.
Yep. This was a very intimidating scene, and it shakes up Ava quite a bit.
Sure.
For the next scene.
What's her name? Mary Steenburgen or something?
Steenberg, yeah.
Steenberg. She plays like sweet mothers a lot. It's like this is the woman, the long-suffering mom in Elf, right?
Yeah, I just watched her in Last Vegas as well with all the old guys who go to Vegas and one last hurrah.
Yeah.
She plays one of the love interests in that.
Interesting. That was the one with
oh man, Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman,
yeah.
Michael Sheen, I think. Michael Douglas, rather.
Yeah. And there's one other guy. The guy who Kevin
something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're really that curious, go look up Last Vegas.
There you go. It's on IMDb.
It's a good movie, though. I enjoyed it.
There's a brief scene in Raylan where he's trying to, it's a clear. I think this is basically him grappling with the fact that he's got a daughter and that he kind of views Loretta as something like either a kid sister or, and he tries to speak on behalf of her daughter or her father, which of course she has none of. I thought she was funny. She's reading Popular Science. That was pretty cool. Okay. And he says, "Hey, I need you to walk away from the weed, or at least get some bodyguards for the next week or two." Which we'll see what happens. I feel like we're going to see her again, though. Yeah.
Catherine Hale?
No. We're talking about Loretta.
Oh, Loretta.
We'd moved on to Loretta. Raylan.
Oh, geez. Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, you moved on from the scene pretty.
You
quickly.
thought Raylan thought of Catherine as his daughter?
No,
what the fuck?
No, I was reading my notes because I didn't want to move on from that scene yet. There's so
Oh,
much
I'm
to
sorry.
talk about there.
Do it. I thought we spent a lot of time talking about it already. But take me away, sir.
Have we skipped the scene where Boyd and Ava do their thing? Or are we between those scenes?
We are. That's the next scene.
Okay, then never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
So yeah, Ava goes back to her room, starts frantically packing. She's on the phone with Raylan. Raylan seems very adamant that there's no way Catherine can know. Right in the middle of the conversation, she has to hang up because Boyd comes in and says, I'm going to steal Avery's money and I'm going to steal his idea for the legal weed. And guess what, babe? We don't have to leave Harlan. We can stay right here. We don't have to run. We don't have to hide. And we're going to have it all in episode.
Do you think that potentially Boyd will have to compete with Loretta for the weed business in Harlan? Also.
If both, okay, so Loretta
could
is
he
not
get
going,
apple pied? Do you think Boyd could get apple pied?
very possible. Very possible. I feel like Boyd should know about apple pie.
Probably, yeah.
But then again, he killed off his old man before maybe he was able to tell him. Because they were estranged for a good long time too. I don't know. That would be kind of a cool concept for the last scene of the series, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Just
or maybe
bookend.
second to lack. It's like, you know, the epilogue and she's inviting. It's like, hey, you know, we need to bury the hatchet. We don't need to be competing with each other. I've got a lot to learn from you, Boyd. Here, have a glass of apple pie. That would be kind of cool.
Sure.
And we don't need to see Boyd die. That would be kind of a neat way to end things there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. If both of them live, then
seems like Loretta's pretty gung-ho on the weed business, and Boyd said he is, so
sure. Yeah.
There was one other thing, I guess, in that Catherine Hale and Ava scene that I want to talk about, where Ava tells Catherine, you know, she's basically saying to her that it was smart of her to sleep with Avery to get what she wanted. I've got to think that is the writers telling us something about the relationship now between Ava and Boyd. I'm like, I realize they're walking a line on purpose, not giving us too much information to go on as far as what side she's on. But man, every once in a while they throw these things in there that really make me think about.
You're right. That's fodder for your mill about her being a snitch, because Ava's a snitch. Ava's sleeping with Boyd ostensibly to get information.
Sure. Yeah.
Catherine and then Ava draws a connection between, oh, it's good job sleeping with the man you're trying to kill. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff, man.
I don't know. This show has me racking my brain, and it's
fun. It's fun to watch.
It is. Yeah,
because it's also
aside from the awesome plot.
When Justified did at its best, it's not. It's everything's on the surface, but there's also a lot of twists and turns and unexplained things.
Yeah,
you know, having Jake Busey on just to blow him up, have 5 minutes of screen time. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, in the middle of a speech which you thought was going to get Boyd to his goal.
Yeah.
Now he's got to find a completely different avenue for that.
Yeah.
We don't know where he's going to turn. That kind of dead ended, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. It's brilliant.
Line of the week.
There's so many good ones.
I kind of want to give it to Tim for the Sigourney Weaver.
I did too. I mean, it's the last one I wrote down.
I hate not giving it to Boyd or Raylan, but they're giving so many good, like Calhoun with the Occam's razor, Thor's hammer. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. I think it's Sigourney Weaver. I think that line is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's any choice, the Archangel Raylan bit, the search your soul, numb nuts. I mean,
but it's not just the way, like, it's not just the line itself. It's also the way that Tim delivers it.
Yeah.
That just has me cracking up every time I hear him.
Right. Like he's not
zinger.
Like he's not breaking character from his Archangel shtick to deliver the numbnuts line.
Yeah. Raylan in that scene. Sure.
Yeah.
I was talking about Tim when he delivers the Sigourney Weaver line. He's so
just matter of fact.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to give it to the Sigourney Weaver thigh crushing.
Okay. All right. I think that's a good choice.
There you go. I think Tim probably wore out the place on his VCR where Xenia Onatopp, you know where I'm going with the golden eye crunch. That's you know, he's
he went in and he digitally replaced her head with Sigourney Weaver's face.
There you go.
Yep.
Right. Sigourney Weaver from Alien Resurrection. That's the thing. That's the era he's really into.
Resurrection. Yeah.
Yeah. Resurrection era Sigourney. Let's get some feedback. Yeah.
Sure.
Isaac Gates said, I have what I believe a theory on how Justified might end. Hopefully it doesn't end this way and they come up with something smarter. Not a great way to start a piece of feedback, BT dubs.
I'm a dumbass, and here's my theory.
Did
Is
you
what
notice,
you effectively
did you
said.
know Jim? He did not do that before the Catherine theory. He's like, this is a solid theory that I really believe in. Come on, man. Have some self-respect. Anyway, Isaac continues. A previous email to the podcast mentioned Dewey's necklace and Ava finding it and making her suspicious. It's possible, but I think Raylan will see it somehow, either him coming into the bar or Ava mentioning it to him, and he will deduce that Dewey is dead. In the pilot, when Dewey and Raylan first encounter each other at Ava's house, Raylan points out Dewey's necklace and figures out where exactly in Florida Dewey is from based on the teeth in the necklace.
Huh.
So if Raylan sees this thing, knowing how much he loved it, Dewey said so, and how Dewey likes his relics, like the turtle dog he loved so much, and realizes he hadn't seen Dewey in a while, he'll know Dewey is dead and most likely that Boyd killed him.
Wow.
A murder charge would trump a RICO case against Boyd and would put him in jail forever if Raylan can somehow prove it. If Ava somehow coaxes the truth out of Boyd and tells it to Raylan, her job is done and Raylan wins. Where it gets dicey is, back in season 3, when Art was building his case against Quarles, he was going to have Quarles finally arrested for threatening a federal marshal, Raylan, the night before in the bar. In one of Justified's best episodes, man walks into the bar. Indeed.
That was a great episode.
Because he had that ace up his sleeve.
Yeah.
All he needed to aid him was the bartender's testimony as a witness, but they couldn't use her once he found out Raylan boned her, as he tends to do. I'm wondering if Raylan, not keeping his dick in his pants, will do the same thing here. As we know in season 1, Raylan was sleeping with Ava. If Ava gets all this intel on Boyd, snitches on him and whatnot, can her testimony or info she got as a CI be used if she was sleeping with the federal marshal she was informing to? If this is the case, all the info comes out, and it's only a matter of time when Boyd finds out. Maybe he's arrested, goes to trial, hears it through back channels, what have you. Either way, I figure this revelation makes the case against Boyd null and void. He gets off scot-free, leading Raylan to take the ultimate justice and kill Boyd. Or Boyd kills Ava, then Raylan kills Boyd. Or Ava kills Boyd. Or Sam Elliott grows his mustache back. I don't know. It's all just a theory.
So that would be interesting if Raylan has to go completely rogue to take out Boyd. They can't make a case. He has to go do exactly what he did at the very beginning of this series and just take the guy out in order to end this thing.
He does have this other mini thing. He's like, keep in mind, Boyd knows Winona is in Florida. Maybe after he gets off, he takes a trip down there and the show ends where it all began. The only way I could see Boyd threatening Winona is if Raylan somehow is responsible for Ava
dying.
Yes.
Like, not just that she's a snitch, but
yeah,
he
like
gets her killed somehow.
Raylan gets her murdered.
Yeah. He might blame Raylan for having her snitch and then Catherine killing her.
Yeah.
Avery killing her, maybe.
That's the only thing I could see him possibly that would, because I just don't buy Boyd as that kind of bad guy.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking ruthless.
I like the idea. I mean, Dewey's necklace has got to come back into this.
Sure.
I don't think they hang it up there for no reason. So I like his theories on that. And I think Justified is smart enough to figure out a really nice way to book in this series. And that's certainly a possibility. That
I think he nailed all the possibilities. There's a lot of people getting killed and mustaches regrown there.
Well, I think at the end he kind of just said, well, fuck it, I don't know what's going to happen. So everybody dies. But yeah, most of the way through that, I like it.
OJ wrote in and said, here's my take on the big three. In a nutshell, they're all who they were in season 1, just a bit older and maybe slightly wiser. Ava's still the woman everyone underestimates because she's a hairdresser who never got out of Harlan. But she's smart. She combines a romantic and a cynical side. She wants to fall in love with someone and change her life. But since she's an Elmore Leonard character, she's looking out for number 1. My guess is that Avery made Ava an offer to be his mole right after the woman have to be touched speech, something we didn't see on screen. In my humble opinion, Raylan, Boyd, and Avery have each made Ava an offer she can't refuse, and she's trying to figure out a way to take that one that leaves her alive and out of jail. Boyd's the only one of the 3 who loves her, but Ava's no dummy, so she probably thinks he's got at least a chance of getting out alive. Since season 1, the big question on Boyd has always been, what do you think of that? Do you think that it's possible that Justified would do something like that? Because there is definitely time that was elapsed where her and Avery were just eyeballing each other before Boyd showed up.
I suppose it's possible.
Would you feel it a cheat if you found out that something went off screen?
No, not really. Sometimes I feel like it's cheating, but Justified usually has a good way of wrapping back around on itself.
The only problem I have with that is, why does she call Raylan instead of Avery when Catherine knows? It seems like if Avery had that deal worked out, that she would at least have an equal chance of calling him and be like, WTF do I do?
Yeah, and I don't like, would Catherine So Catherine spilling her guts to Ava, you'd think would be huge leverage for Ava to use.
Sure.
If she were in bed with Markham.
Yeah. Continuing, it said, since season 1, the big question of Boyd has always been, what does he really believe? In my opinion, he believes all of it. He's rudderless and he adopts an identity. Neo-Nazi bank robber, preacher, coal miner, coal thug, crime lord. When the role lets him down, he drops it. The big question for Boyd is whether Ava fits that pattern. If Ava lets him down, is their relationship just one more identity to throw in the trash heap? And then who is he? For Boyd, Raylan and Avery are obstacles, but this season is about one last try to get him and Ava out of Harlan and save his current identity. I like that. Raylan is still the man he showed us in season 1, episode 1. The surface is all cynical detachment. He'd like to pretend he doesn't even give a crap about guys like Dewey. They made their choice and need to ride the rap, but that's on them. Underneath that, he's boiling with rage at his father, at the people who take advantage of Harlan, and presumably at himself. Raylan would like to see Ava skate and wouldn't particularly care if she made it out of the season with Avery's money. But he needs to see Boyd and Avery destroyed. They're connected to his father. They prey on Harlan, and worse, they've been getting away with it. Raylan's going to eradicate them if he can, and if he has to destroy Ava to do it, he will.
I think it's a fair characterization.
I think that's a great analysis of Raylan's character.
Yeah.
And I fully endorse it. Moving on to Mike M. I said, I just started listening to your podcast, and I am digging it. Since I'm a new listener, I don't know if you talked about it before, but are you aware that one of the Justified writers is a fan of the sports talk station in Dallas, 1310 The Ticket? He includes multiple references to The Ticket in some episodes he writes. Among them are, which writer is this, Mike? I don't know. But he said, among them, Ty Walker, who is a personality on The Ticket. His quote was, "What about eggs?" is an inside joke on the station. Seabass is the name of another Ticket personality, and Dewey Crow saying the anus is on you last season, and quite a few more. That's cool.
Okay. Get your sports out of my shit. No, I'm kidding. I
mean, shit, I drop a ton of Bill Simmons references in my work, so you know, steal from the best. Whitney S. said, this episode is like every episode, which is just great. Please do not use the mention of apple pie and Mags Bennett to continue discussion. Only season 2 was good.
Whoa. We've never said that.
Hold on now.
Horses.
No, it's not the only season that's good. It's the only season that's truly capital G great.
Yeah.
And
you have to compare, you necessarily compare the rest of the series to that.
Yes.
Because that was, in our opinion, the high point of the series.
I don't think it's a controversial. Like, if you're saying, Whitney, that you preferred seasons 1, 3, 4, or 5 to season 2, I'd like to know, because that would blow my mind. Season 2 is so much better than, you know,
4 and 5.
4 and 5, and it's still it's a good nudge better than season 3.
Yeah, I like season 3 a lot.
I did too.
I really loved the end of season 4. Season 5 was okay. This season is shaping up really good. I don't want to by any means portray the idea that I don't like the other seasons of Justified. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoy watching this show, just, you know, across the board. But season 2 is just incredible.
We made her hold her horses. Now she's going to continue. This show is awash with great dialogue and the suspenseful scenes. Yep. Honestly, a churlish Loretta is what at times ruined that season for me. Nothing frightens this teenager. She can die and she is still wisecracking. It doesn't make her a badass. It just means she's not a real character. Ava can have a silent freak out and lose her breath at the end of this episode, but this orphan girl doesn't feel alone and scared. I'm calling bullshit. Can you please talk about what a great actor Mary Steenburgen is? Her Catherine is slowly coming to life. Okay. Loretta. I'm not the biggest fan of Loretta, but I also don't think it's fair to say that she never got scared, because she's plenty scared on a couple times when I think Coover was, you know, like she came close to dying and she was appropriately scared in those times. Mm-hmm. I don't think I think she's got a good mastery of herself, so she doesn't show fear when people are just talking. It takes more than that to rattle her, especially since, again, she's almost been murdered many, many, many times.
Yeah, she was tutored by the best. You
Right.
know? Mags Bennett was no joke.
Sure.
I
And her father was a fuck up. She's had to raise herself essentially so she's wise beyond her years. And I don't think that she, in season 2 especially, I don't think she didn't ever show fear. I thought, especially for as young as this actress is, she does a hell of a job.
Yeah, and I like when they, last season they paired her up with another kid who was constantly shitting his pants. And
Sure.
that's, I felt like that contrast worked pretty well. You see the life that she had, you see this punk kid who doesn't know anything. And yeah, there's a huge difference because of those backgrounds.
And Mary Steenburgen, I don't know what you can say. I mean, she's clearly having a ball. I read an interview with her talking about how she doesn't usually get to play the heavy, and it's so fun to play this like large and in charge woman.
Yeah, she's really good at it.
That's one of the things about the show is it seems like everyone just has a ball making it. It's a really fun thing to shoot. So
yeah, we haven't seen much of Rachel this season.
No, she's the one getting the short end of the stick, being chained to Art's desk.
She's not in it at all.
I was really hoping we'd see more of her mounted up with Raylan, but I guess it was Tim's turn to be the Mountie.
Yeah.
David J says, apologies to Timothy Oliphant, but with Walton Goggins and Sam Elliott chewing so much scenery, there's hardly any left for poor Tim to snack on. Indeed. I don't think Raylan's got line of the week once so far. Great performances this time around. Mary Steenburgen was creepy as hell this episode. She gives me the willies whenever she is on screen. Not that the plot doesn't matter, but I'm happy enough just watching all these actors just doing their thing at this point. Everyone's bringing their A game and swinging for the fences here in the last season. Seeing Loretta again, callbacks to Apple Pie. A little bit of spoiler for next episode.
Spoiler?
Yeah, for the preview, which we're going to keep out because they're, like I said, lots more fun surprises coming for us for Justified fans.
All right.
This feels like a love letter to us fans, and I am digging the hell out of it.
The ghost of Mags Bennett. Ooh, she's coming back.
Like a force ghost. She's a translucent blue figure standing right there with Loretta's daddy.
Yep.
So he says, stick your pinky in there and give it a lick is the line of the night. Not bad, because it also was just the way Sam said it was a little bit lascivious or inappropriate.
Yeah, I got that too.
Little creepy uncle. Especially, I mean, it's just a great scene, very tense scene.
Yep.
That's it for the feedback we got, which probably means it's in the end of the episode. If you'd like to give us more feedback, please send it in to justified@baldmove.com. We also have weekly threads on our forums at forums.baldmove.com. and on facebook.com/baldmove. You can also tweet at Jim @baldmove. And if I'm talking too fast about any of this crap, go to baldmove.com and all this stuff is in the show notes every week. How convenient.
Super convenient. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron. See ya.